Hello everyone, welcome back to Devils United. This is the greatest managers. Hello everyone, welcome back to Devils United. Today we're going to be talking about the greatest ever manager in football. With me today I have got Talk MU and I have got Reece. How are we both?
Deflated, but all right, thanks.
Is it just a Wednesday blue?
I'm just tired. I'm just tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know all three of us were looking forward to doing this stream today. So what we're going to be doing today, this will be all our opinions on what we think the greatest ever manager in football will be. We will do it. We'll pick our top 10 today and narrow it down to 5, and then we will do a following stream, and then we'll continue on, and then we'll come to a final conclusion on who we think the greatest ever manager is in football. Talk, how hard did you think it was to pick your 10?
Yeah, so it's not an easy thing to do, is it? But I mean, especially one of the ones that I'm going to actually put up to you, which is going to really throw you right under the bus. But you know what? I'm kind of thinking that Reece might know who this person is, but he might not either, because you've got to really dig.
A few of mine might catch you by surprise. I made some changes to my list at the last minute.
Oh, really? How very dare you? How obtuse! I say that's outrageous, Eldine. Okay, well, listen, it is a difficult thing to do to put a list like that together, because we've seen some absolutely unbelievable, and we are actually witnessing some unbelievable managers in football. So, yeah, it was tricky, but I've just gone with what I feel my personal choice would be, which is exactly what it's about. So, again, I'll just reiterate, this isn't by no means like set in stone. This is just our individual opinions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be completely unbiased with mine. In all fairness, I know if I had a biased opinion, I know who goes at number 1, but it's going to be completely unbiased with me.
Yeah, well, yeah, same here. I mean, we've got to be unbiased. I mean, we've got to be, but I'm just going to, for me, it's going to be on
pure achievement and longevity in the games. Why I've measured them as greats.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and also the context of how they did what they did. You know,
yeah, it's changing the game and all that. That's
and the social conditions at the time. You know, etc. There's all sorts of things to consider. So, but I suppose then we better maybe start by announcing our top 10s.
Yeah. So we'll start with you, Reece. Who is your top 10?
My top 10 stems from several Scottish managers. There is a Portuguese. There is maybe 1 or 2 Italians, a couple of Dutch, and 1 Spanish manager. But I'll let you figure it out as we go through. But my top 10 goes Sir Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jock Stein, Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti. I also have Marcello Lippi, Johan Cruyff, and I also have Pep Guardiola.
Amazing shout.
Yeah.
What made you come to these managers?
I look at how the game has evolved through certain periods in time, how certain managers have taken on context in terms of evolving with the times, how the times were at the time. So, for example, Sir Matt Busby had taken over Manchester United in 1945, and he lasted until 1967, but he came back after the unfortunate issues of Wolf McGuinness, where it sadly didn't work out and he returned to his reserve coach role. But I look at how he built the club in terms of he had ready-made players already at the club, and he decided, I'm going to abandon that and I'm going to invest in youth and I'm going to build a team and I'm going to build a club from the ground up. And that's why he gets in my list. It's the same with Sir Alex Ferguson. Jock Stein is purely straight off the bat, for the sake of everybody knows my Scottish allegiances, I'm still going to put him in the bracket. He is one of the absolute best managers to come from Scotland. In fact, to be fair, Scotland have produced 5 great managers, and I'm not going to include Kenny Dalglish because I don't care. He's just a better footballer. But I look at it purely of he won 6 trophies in a calendar year with Celtic, and he won like the original 9 in a row. He done all that. He went and took a club from Glasgow to European champions, and then they went and beat the mighty Real Madrid team at the time. They beat the Man United team that would go on to win the European Cup the following year. They did all that. They conquered Europe. And that's another thing for me as well. Is like you've got to have like some sort of understanding. Sadly, he tragically passed away before the World Cup in '86, and he would have led Scotland at the '86 World Cup. But that was his assistant, Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson led United in, so he gets in that for me. Johan Cruyff, simply because of what he did from Rinus Michels in terms of total football. He took it to a whole new level. He took it with Ajax, redeveloped Ajax, then he took it to Barcelona. He got Barcelona out of the shadows of Real Madrid, which to an extent they were still in their shadows, but he won 6 consecutive league titles and he won a European Cup. He won, I think, 15 trophies, which was the most by any Barcelona manager until Guardiola took over. So that says it all really about what he achieved. Guardiola, simply, I'm just going to follow up because, frankly, even though he doesn't build clubs, what he does is he gets them into a position where they're just, quote-unquote, unstoppable, unless you're playing in a Champions League final and you play 3 midfielders and not a defensive midfielder in your biggest game when you're trying to win a trophy that you haven't won since Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta. That says all for me. Mourinho, is there anything really you can say about Mourinho, bar the fact he managed Tottenham Hotspur? Like, he's done pretty much everything in the game. He's won trebles with Inter Milan. He won a treble with Porto. He won back-to-back European trophies. He won the UEFA Cup. Funnily enough, beat Celtic in 2003. 2004, he beat Monaco in the Champions League. He's done all of that. He transformed Chelsea into winners. He made Real Madrid one of the, like, in terms of a league performance, it was one of the best teams ever, like 121 goals, well over 100 points. Parking the bus, as people say, but most of the games, they were actually fantastic to watch. I just look at that and I find that's why Carlo Ancelotti and Trapattoni, I put them in for similar careers. But I look at it and I think there's one other Italian manager that deserves plaudits in my list. I think I named 9 originally, so I can put him in. I know a lot of people have gone for Brian Clough, and I understand that. With all due respect to him, I have Arrigo Sacchi ahead of Brian Clough. It's purely for the simple of what Sacchi did, transforming that Milan team. And Ancelotti follows suit in the 2000s. Trapattoni, he turned Juventus into a juggernaut. They were amazing. And that says it all, really, from 77 to, I think, 85. Everything that, I think it was long before that, sorry. Like, and just in terms of what he did, but it was 77 when it got to their heights. It was amazing. And that's the success there. Bill Shankly, another Scottish manager that's on my list. He built Liverpool. He's the reason Liverpool wear the all-red strip. And a famous quote by Bill Shankly, funnily enough, is when he was managing Huddersfield and he went, you're watching the best team in football. And this was as he was actually telling these Huddersfield players, you're watching the best team in football. And after that, he was gone. He went to manage Liverpool, who were playing in Division 2 at the time. And he transformed them. And that's his own words. And he rebuilt this club. And I'll always put him on a high pedestal because he helped Manchester United during the period of the Munich Air disaster. He gave us players to get us back into a position of recovery. And not just because he's Scottish. Of course, that's... to be fair, he is one of the greats from my country. He's done that, and he deserves the plaudits. Bob Paisley, by many regarded as Liverpool fans, they will say Dalglish is their greatest ever player. Many say Shankly's their greatest ever manager, but in terms of titles, European trophies, taking them into Europe, they're probably their greatest ever manager. He's done all that. So if you had to go through my list, it's all in that. A notable shout who didn't make my top 10, and this is not because the fact he managed a club I've hated all my life, even though I've got Shankly and Paisley in my lineup. I don't have Arsene Wenger. And the reason I don't is because I look at other managers globally and across Europe, and they achieved more than what he did. But what he did in the game is still, in my opinion, regarded as a great. So in terms of like outside my top 10, he's in that just after bracket. And I admire Arsene Wenger for what he did at Arsenal, but you've got to look at, as things got on, it wasn't really the same. It was just stagnating how long he was going to stay, but he was keeping them going. So he deserves that respect, but he doesn't make my top 10. And Clough is just outside as well. But even though what he achieved at Derby and Nottingham Forest, he's just outside as well. But in terms of man management and character, he's probably in the top 3 for man management and character for what he achieved. But yeah, that's literally my top 10, all not narrowed down in a nutshell.
Great, and thank you for explaining all your reasons as well.
You're very welcome.
Talk, what's your top 10?
Yeah, I was just listening to Reece there, so I don't really the ones that he's already mentioned that I've got the same. I don't really need to sort of go into any detail. Reece has already explained. So mine is obviously Matt Busby, Brian Clough, Arsene Wenger, Herrera, Jock Stein, Bob Paisley, Happel, Pep Guardiola, and obviously Alex Ferguson. And then there's one other manager, and I'm going to say his name now. I want to see if you know who he is.
Are you going to make me guess?
Jimmy Hogan.
Jimmy Hogan.
I've got you stumped, son.
It's not often you get re-stumped.
I'm trying to think. Is he? I'm trying to think. No, he's not. He's nothing to do with it. I was thinking total football, but it's not. Is it? No. I'm trying to remember where he's from, like that period. I'm just trying to remember. Doesn't ring a bell.
Do you want to elaborate more on the surprise manager?
Yeah. Okay, so all the other ones are there. Like I said, Reece has quite clearly explanations which we can, when we go down to cut these into 5s. We're going to let 5 go and keep 5. Then we can talk a bit more about them. But so Jimmy Hogan really is actually the father of modern day football, and he's from a
shithole called Burnley.
Yes, exactly. He's from Burnley, Nelson, and he's the guy who he tried to get the English league to look at his ideas in terms of how to play football, but they were just having none of it. Wouldn't have none of it at all. They weren't interested. It was always, no, you kick the ball forward and the strikers put the ball in the net and that's it, and then everybody runs back and you defend and blah blah. And he was trying to explain that. Look, you don't have to do it that way. It can be done differently. Anyway, like I said, they wouldn't have it, and he went off and took these ideas to Hungary, and we all know what came after that. Hungary, 1953. They won at Wembley 6-3, and the Puskas, drag backs, and all this kind of stuff. And this was all, Jimmy Hogan. Even now, if you go to Hungary and mention his name, anybody in Hungary will go, yes, Jimmy Hogan. He's a god. He is absolute. He's an absolute god. And like I say, there's always this case where you say, oh look, if it wouldn't have been him, it would have been him. It's like I say, all right, you tell me somebody else apart from Albert Einstein who could have came up with those theories that he came up with, because no one ever has since Einstein's death. Nobody has ever come up with the same kind of important theories that Einstein has come up with. So there is no replacing Einstein. And in my opinion, there is no other manager that can go ahead of Jimmy Hogan in terms of how the modern day game has been, so how we say, influenced.
That's a very fair shout. That's a very fair shout, and I completely get
It took
where you're
us all
coming
by
from.
surprise.
No, I
It took me by
completely
surprise.
understand. I completely understand that. That makes a lot of sense in terms of
It
where
does.
football's gone now. You look at what Hungary did in terms of like the amount of games they won as well. Like it's unheard of for a team to go that many games unbeaten, and it was exciting football, which obviously led to Hungary. Obviously, they lost the World Cup final in 1954, but you look at the football they played; it was all based on that. So, no, I completely get that. In terms of like influence, this is what I said at the beginning. It's all about context, and fair play to you, mate. You caught me there, but no, I think that's brilliant, mate. That's a brilliantly fair shout, mate. Honestly,
I had to bring him in. I had to put him in there just because of, like I said, the importance of what he did. And okay, it's like, you know what you say, anything. People have took his ideas and moved with it and changed and blah blah blah. But even so, without those initial ideas, you know, we don't know what would have happened. We just don't. And like I say, so for me, he's going to be there for me. He's going to be in my top 5.
You also mentioned one as well that was key. You also mentioned one that changed modern football for a different perspective. You mentioned Herrera.
Herrera. Yeah.
Very smart option. Very smart.
You want to discuss more about Herrera as well?
Helenio, yeah, influential. He's Barcelona, Spanish Cups, UEFA Cups, league titles, 16 major trophies, I think it was, that he picked up. Atletico Madrid as well. Now, in terms of how he shaped the game, I think Reece will know more than I will in that sense. But I think it was more about the psychological side of the game, motivating players, and that's, in fact, you think about, that's what football is all about. You know,
a brutal motivator.
Yeah, and that's what football is all about. Because if you know, you've got a group of 11 individuals who are all different in the way they listen, the way they absorb information, the way they dissect the information, take it on board, and they don't all take it on board the same. So this is the art of management, and you've got to, like I say, you've got to be a social chameleon. You know, you've got to blend, just become what in each individual player wants you to become. And that was, for me, one of the great skills that Alex Ferguson had. And so I think Helenio Herrera is in that same category. There's no two ways about it. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting choice, and it was a choice that I was like, should I go with this or should I not? You know, but I just thought, you know what, considering the amount of trophies that he picked up and where he did it, you know, and considering he was Argentinian, I just thought, yeah, I've got to mention this guy. But whether he'll get into my top 5, I don't know.
Top 5 is going to be more fun. I'm more interested in hearing your top 3 when we get to it, man.
I know.
That's when it gets brutal. When it gets to our bottom 3, I think when we get to our top 3, I think we'll only agree on one manager.
Well,
that's how bold I am right now in terms of thinking. I think we'll only agree on one.
Yeah, actually, amazing. So you know, I'll just run you through my top 10 again, so everybody can be.
Yeah.
So it's Matt Busby, Brian Clough, Arsene Wenger, Herrera, Stein, Hogan, Paisley, Happel, Pep, and obviously Fergie. So over to you, Maisie.
Yes. My top 10, it was so difficult to pick my top 10. I was there thinking, oh my God, I want this manager, but there's this manager who's also very good. What about this manager? But it literally took me ages to get my top 10, but I've got mine. Brian Clough, Cruyff, Shankly, Paisley, Ancelotti, Wenger, Guardiola, Busby, Mourinho, and most importantly, who is obviously the greatest of all time in Manchester, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Very solid. Very solid. I actually had to leave a manager out that I have a lot of respect for, and he was long before my time, but it's what he did in terms of transforming a club, which I mentioned before. You might not have heard of him, but I mentioned him in our group chat the other day. It's a man called Bill Struth. Bill Struth is the man that transformed Rangers into what they are. Like, he won 13 league titles. He's still their most successful manager of all time. Like, in terms of the trophies he won, his era when it was physical, violent, dominant. This when Scottish football was still very good, but this was like just after like the war and stuff, like leading up that period when it was then now you know the stupid phrase you get nowadays, which is accurate, which is men against boys. Well, back then it was psychotic men versus hard cunt men. Like, it was brutal shite. And there's highlights on YouTube and all that you can watch. He literally turned this team into warriors, playing good football as well, and they won all that. It was hard leaving him out. It was very hard.
Do you know that with, like I said, when we're talking about managers from sort of decades back, 30, 40 years, there's a different context because of the social aspects of it. The way people were living their lives. Because back in them times, you got to think about, like all you got to do is watch the documentary on Alex Ferguson. Even say back as far as like the 70s when, and parts of the 80s, to be fair, when it was tough financially for a lot of people, and the only thing you had really was football. So even more important for the managers of that time was having a great performance and sending the fans home happy, because really a lot of fans back then, there was nothing really else to look forward to. It was just such a hard life to live, like I say, especially in the 50s. It was really, really tough. And especially in Scotland, as we know, the Celtic and Rangers, it's not just the Celtic and Rangers, it's the actual
level of football.
Catholic.
Yeah, it was like,
got to bring in, the religious.
side. It was more like religious, wasn't it, with Celtic and Rangers? Why that rivalry was there?
Even now,
it got worse when Graham Souness took charge of Rangers. One of the first things he did was bring in Mo Johnston. Mo Johnston was the first Catholic to ever play for Rangers, and he got pelters. And pelters is just a Scottish slang word. Basically means like heavy abuse.
Yeah, he got grief.
Like all that shit, he got it massive.
And
still won trophies though. But
when you think about the managers there that have managed in the Scottish League, especially like I say, back in the times where it was a tough, hard life, there wasn't really much to go about. The only real thing you had to look forward to was your one decent meal of the week, which was going to have some probably decent meat in it, and then the game, the football. But alongside that, having to deal with the abuses of, because I'm a Catholic and you're a Protestant and vice versa, it's exceptionally difficult to balance that out. And these managers, of course it is. I said I've got a mate, Jimmy, who's from Scotland, he's a bit older than me, and he's got the scars. He's got a brick in his face. There's a bridge. I think there's a bridge in one of the grounds. Is there, Reece?
There is.
Right, and he said he was walking under that bridge, and somebody had launched a brick from the top of it, and it landed right in his face, and he's got the
Scottish football was aggressive in that sense. I've always hated that side of our game, but it showed like you can flip the side of that where it's violent, but you can also put the side of it that is just how passionate fans are, where they will go tooth and nail for their football club, and I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I've been to Ibrox on European nights, and I've had flares thrown in my face and all that. I've had flares chucked in front of me, all of that, and these were by hardcore, like the ultra Legia Warsaw fans. Like, this is before the pandemic, so like I've had that, and I've been to games before where I didn't get home until like 2 a.m. because it was a European night and we were stuck in traffic, but we were at the stadium belting out, like enjoying it. But it was like even like watching on TV, like if it's a Man United game, you get the passion and all that, and it never leaves you. But in terms of up here, we're violent. I think obviously for Rangers, for example, like their main rivalry is Celtic. It's always going to be Celtic, but another one stems from Man United, not Man United, obviously the greatest manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, is Aberdeen, and it got so violent. Man United, Aberdeen, and Rangers fans, it got so violent. They were fighting each other day in, day out. Whenever they cross paths, whether it be up north or whether it be in Glasgow, they would batter each other, and it was such an ungodly rivalry. It's still going on, but that just shows like, yes, I'll admit Scottish football now shite to pretty much an extent, but back then, every top club pretty much in England at the time had at least one or two Scottish players, because there was a lot of very good technical Scottish players that don't get the credit they deserve.
And what you just said there is it's only due to lack of investment. If the Scottish League was given more investment, that it would be, in my opinion, it could be right up there with the Premier League if it had the right investment. Because, I mean, as we know, the greatest managers of all time and the greatest players of all time have come from Scotland. It's not like there's nothing else that's come from the Scottish game. Of course it has. It's great, and at the end of the day, like I say, it's all about investment, and but that's that's a different separate conversation, isn't it? But
exactly, like five of them, like 4 or 5 of my top 10 come from my home country, and that's not biased. That's just pure look what they've done in the game. But obviously, our good buddy Fabrizio Romano loves the fact I mentioned Saki. Honest to God, I absolutely adore Arrigo Sacchi. I absolutely adore his management, what he achieved in Milan. I'm gutted that Italy are actually losing right now, by the way, because I'm quarter Italian. That pisses me off that we're losing to Spain of all fucking countries. But to be fair, we won a European trophy. I don't really care. But
you can have
Arrigo Sacchi is one of my absolute favourites for how he transformed Milan into an absolute dominant powerhouse in midfield, and even just midfield, just by saying it, because like the midfield 4 they had under him was amazing. But how he transformed a club that, when he had won the trophy in the league, his first league title, they got relegated 9 years prior. They were playing in Serie B, and fast forward into his reign, and he's won back-to-back European titles. He's won the league. And he's adapted a totally different style of football to what Italians are known for, which is solid defensive. And he's went, no, we're going to break the status quo. We're going to be like the total football with a twist. We're going to play the offside trap. We're going to play a high back 4. We're going to press high. We're going to attack teams. And we're going to bring the Dutch style to Italy in a different way. And I'm like, that's why he's in my list. Ancelotti, purely for a mold of that. There's one, like obviously I mentioned Lippi. I could easily take him out if I wanted to even know what he achieved. But I think regardless of what my top 10 is, or what Talk's top 10 is, or even what Maisie's top 10 is, you could dissect our lists and you are still going to name so many other managers, because football has those periods where even there's some great managers, they've not really won anything either. Like, it's because of the impact they've had in the game, and they deserve it. And I think that's another reason why it's hard to measure greatness just because you're basing it on if you base it on silverware. I mentioned longevity, adapting, evolution, and that's another thing. Look at styles of football that have appeared over the years, and that says it all for me. Football United TV's, like mentioned, Bobby Robson. Fantastic shout for what he did as a manager. He turned things around. He established. I do not think Dyke is the GOAT. He doesn't belong in any list. I look at maybe the list for worst managers in football. I'll gladly put him in that. But I think if you look at greatest English managers, Hardly any. Yep. Rinus Michels, he won the Euros in '88. He's up there. He transformed football. You know who else is probably never going to get mentioned by managers just because of how he was more. People just enjoyed him in the press, but they won't really give him much credit. Louis van Gaal. I bet no one here or in the live chat considered Louis van Gaal as a top 10.
No, didn't,
No
to be fair.
And it's because even though what he did in football, it's more to the sense of we just love you for the press conferences rather than the football. Even though he achieved a lot, I think that's another thing. It's like it has so much context to defining greatness.
The thing with me is with Louis van Gaal is I don't particularly like him, and I'll tell you why. Because the reports about how he treated his wife publicly and away from the private eye, at the public eye, he wasn't very nice to her. And I'm not going to get into details, but that's the reason why I don't particularly like the fellow. But I'm ready to.
Roberts mentioned Zagallo as well.
I'm ready to give you my top 5 that I've cut down.
Yeah, what we'll do before we go to the top 5, we'll go through some of the comments.
Yeah, good idea.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
There is a few comments on here. Chris from Leicester Till I Die, Brian Clough, Shankly and Fergie, here's his top 3. Late again, May's women. It's not me, it's these two putting the makeup on. Look, he had to put a hat on because, you get what I mean? Yeah.
I always wear a hat, you donut.
He just wanted to impress my stream.
Impress. Yes. I think I've already done that.
Dan from Turfmoor, I said Clough, Ferguson and Potts as he needed a Burnley hero. I'm sure I've seen you say Sean Dice in the comments on my Twitter, but okay. Didn't Harry Potts invest under the bed? No.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Chris.
Chris. Okay, Chris, it's a bit. I think it's getting a bit too late.
This one.
It's PG.
Chris, that's a belter.
Big up to you as well, Football United TV, Matt. Big up to you as well, Dan from Turfmoor. Big up to James. As Reece mentioned, Matt has said Bobby Robson, who is another good shout, and it was difficult not to put him in the top 10. For me, he would probably be just out of the top 10 for me as well. There was just so many good people, and it was just so hard just to narrow it.
I got one for you before you read another comment. Obviously, you guys know I hate one particular year in football history. We don't have to say it out loud, but there is a particular year that I hate. But where does Sir Alf Ramsey go for you guys? Purely from an English perspective, where does he rank for you guys?
God, good question.
Now, I've got Zagallo as the greatest international manager of all time in terms of managing in World Cups and stuff. But just for you,
I don't know. I mean, look,
where's he rank?
You know what? He got international managers who manage a national team. You know what? It's still a difficult job, and you've still got to have a certain way about it and everything else. But I don't know. I just think, you know what, the team that he had at his disposal, you know, and also a lot of them were West Ham, and we know that. It was just, I think, it was a great thing that he did. There's no two ways about that. I wouldn't ever argue against it, but I don't think I'd have him in my top 10. If I'm honest with you, I wouldn't have
him in top 10 either. But I thought just spark it, obviously being surrounded by pretty much vast majority of the people I'm surrounded by anyway are freaking English. I may as well ask, where does he rank? For me, he doesn't reach top 15 in all respect. He isn't. Don Revie. Don Revie.
I'd put him in a top 20. I'd put him in a top 20.
Yeah, I'd probably put him in the top 20, maybe 16th, 17th, perhaps.
Don Revie's in my top 15 in all respect, Tony. He's in my top 15. Purely because he made a bunch of mad Leeds United.
Leeds were just dirty Leeds. That's where it's come from. You know, just
Box. No, I don't. No.
Let's continue with the comments. We've got Fabrizio here. Hello, Fabrizio.
Buongiorno.
Football United TV, he didn't pick Bob Robson, disgrace, lol.
How dare you?
For Britso, Steve Bruce has transformed Newcastle. I hope we don't forget to mention him.
Oh, mate.
Let's not.
He's funny. He's got a good sense of
Let's
humour.
not for Britso.
You could put Steve Bruce in the Klutz department if you want.
We can put him in the greatest of worst managers if you'd like me to do that. I'll do a stream just for that and put
Neil
Steve
Warnock
Bruce
has
in
got
that
to be
we have a
number
shout
one.
out.
Oh, old Neil. Oh, mate. You know what? I think actually it's again, it's them kind of managers, isn't it? You know, like your Sam Allardyces, your Neil Warnocks, your even to
Ian
a certain
Holloway's.
extent, David Moyes to a certain extent. It's that kind of, I found one way of doing it and I'm going to stick to it, and that is it. They just will not deviate from it. And you know what? You have to ask yourself the question. Listen, if you're that good at doing that in that particular fashion, surely you can mold yourself like David Moyes is. To be fair to him, at West Ham, he's kind of, he seems to have sort of stepped up a little bit as a manager, doesn't he? In the way he's doing things. But the rest of them, like I've just mentioned, I mean, Sam Allardyce, he just scaffold him for his head. Never mind his wallet. You know what I mean? It's like it's massive.
Oh,
isn't it?
Box, he is in my top 3. Don't worry. He is in my top 3 for worst managers of all time. Don't worry. He's not even a football manager. He's a freaking stripper.
We've got Rich here as well. Big up to you as well, Rich. And he has also said, should Dan be revising? Because I know Rich is doing a quiz. But Dan has said he's here studying great managers.
It's class time and he's in session.
Yep, so Matt has mentioned everything what Bobby Robson has won, and to be honest, when you do look at that, it's absolutely incredible. When you look at everybody's stats, like how much they won, especially when you look at everybody's own top 10, you look, wow. For instance, I think like Jose Mourinho was won 30 trophies, perhaps. I think it's around 30 he's won overall. And then you've got Ancelotti and Paisley. Them two and one other manager who no one's mentioned in the top 10, obviously, were the only managers to ever win the Champions League 3 times.
That's true.
And that is a very good achievement as well. And you wouldn't ever think it, especially when you look at Paisley and Ancelotti, you wouldn't ever think, wow, these two managers are the managers who's won the Champions League 3 times, and you've got other legends in the game.
Yeah. It's crazy how, like, football managers, because you can have great managers, but you can also have great managers who gave style, like Total Football, Catenaccio. Fabrizio Romano's going to smile at that one in a minute. See, I know that. Del Bosque is a fair shout as well. Like, there's so many great managers that have evolved with the times, and they've actually influenced a style which makes it more impressive to watch. It does that to you. So it actually makes your decisions hard. That's why I've got most of my managers aren't just because of the management, it's because of what they've influenced on style and they've added. That's why the likes of Michels and Cruyff gets into my team, Guardiola, like my lineup, Guardiola, so Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson, not just because of the trophies, it's because they built clubs that were at near enough at times rock bottom. Like that's another reason. Like, I think it's all about the context and behind it. And I think some people just name a manager and they'll just go, yeah, that works. That works. It was great. But what did they achieve? Why are they great? And then you listen to them speak and you're like, are you just reading off Wikipedia? Stop talking about you don't even know what they've achieved. If you actually go and research properly, you see what people have done in the game. There's so many people you can't even get in a top 10 because it's that bloody hard. Bobby Robson's, for me, he was one of the few that it was difficult to leave out. I said it openly and honestly at the start of the stream as well, but nearly 40 minutes ago. Hit that like button, by the way, guys, and subscribe.
Thank you.
I said I had to leave Wenger out, despite what he achieved at Arsenal. I had to leave him out, and that's pure respect. It's hard to build a top 10 purely on choice because there's so many. You can't just nail one on the head. It's so hard.
Go a few more comments here. Robert has said, "Hi, Maisie, Reece and Talk. Going to be a good show." We've got Dan here, and I think Dan is very happy with your choice, Talk.
So he should be as well. So he should be.
James has said, "I wasn't old enough to see the likes of Bobby Robson, Paisley, Shankly, Brian Clough. Sir Alex Ferguson, for me, is the best manager I've ever seen. For Brit, so best manager I've ever seen has to be Mr. Steve Bruce. Honourable mention to Sir Alex he is a close second." Robert has said, "We all know who's number one." And for Brit, so yes, Maisie said, "Jose, what a win."
It's funny that I got neglected when I was the first to mention Jose. I'm like totally blanked.
Big up as well to you there, King Tony. I hope you're well. We've got Matt here. Brian Clough is pro talent. Damned United, great film. Check it out. Yep. If you haven't already watched the Sir Alex Ferguson documentary, I would definitely recommend. It is on Amazon Prime. So if you do have Amazon Prime and you do have that subscription for the Prime as well, you can actually get it for free. So you don't have to pay Prime for watching it.
There's so many great documentaries. Obviously, the Sir Alex one, The United Way, purely for Man United fans. You've got Three Kings, Shankly, Steen, and Busby. You've also got Damned United, which has been mentioned a few times. It's sublime. It's one of the best documentaries I've ever watched, and I honestly recommend it.
Yep. So Italy is 2-0 down. King Tony, Reece thinks Dice is the goal. He probably does. He really does. Football United TV, Bobby Robson had a brain tumour after the England role, told the doctors that he won't stop, ended up being Barcelona manager, even though he was told this could kill you. Legend.
I'm going to put it out there. So Bobby Robson, as a manager, he managed the greatest ever solo goal in football. Ronaldo in 1996 from the halfway line, greatest solo goal in my opinion. Bobby Robson got off. Bobby Robson was literally sitting down, and at the end of it, after Ronaldo's put the ball in the net, Bobby Robson is on the on the touchline going. Well, just witness me.
For Brit, so Chelsea women losing 3-1 to Wolfsburg. I actually was watching that game beforehand because I'm actually quite into the women's football at the moment, especially watching the Champions League. I just don't like the theme tune for the women's Champions League. I'm not used to it.
I listened to it and I'm saying nothing.
So Dutch manager who won 1988 Euros and 1970 Brazilian manager is what my dad said.
Gaal, big respect here. Big respect to him.
For Brit, so what about Poch? Spurs' best manager in recent years, won the Audi Cup and runners-up in the Premier League. I think you forgot as well for Brit, so it was runners-up in the Champions League as well.
Dear.
That's a good point.
You missed that achievement of Poch as well, because that's the only time he's going to probably get in the final of that Champions League too. Louis van Gaal was great, but he took over what Robson had started at Barcelona, and that's what made him a winner. And for Brit, so 3-2 now. Chelsea women pulled one back. Boxers said Ferguson, Busby, Solskjaer, hopefully. King Tony has said Shankly and Fagan should be on it.
Ooh, that's a fair shout. Joe Fagan. Well, to be fair, he was the first manager to manage Liverpool to win a treble, 1984. That's a very fair shout, actually, Joe Fagan.
Boxers said Thomas Frank top 3. Maybe Box might agree with that one, and he did agree with it. James, I was going to say Howard Kendall as number 1 manager, but I won't be that biased.
What?
Am I right in saying, don't butcher me, was Howard Kendall the Everton manager in the 80s?
Yes, Howard Kendall. Oh dear.
Yeah.
For Brit, so for me, the goal is Roy Hodgson. Please stop. Please just stop it.
Why? You can't say why.
Maybe make him jam roly-polies, but come on.
James has asked where Big Sam is on the list. Does both of you want to say where Big Sam is?
He's in my top 5 of managers I'd want to drop a asteroid on. But other than that, he doesn't even get in my top 100 of best football managers ever.
He's on the Kazi for me.
He's like Warnock, like Tony Pulis, like Mick McCarthy, these all successful older managers, they're unranked. I don't rank them as managers. Hodgson, because at least he won trophies and he's actually a respectable manager, but the rest of them, off you pop.
And King Tony said about Arteta. So let's just not go there with Arteta either.
Please.
And big up as well to Ankit. Thank you for tuning in. I know I have been getting a load of comments at the moment. I've got a new person here, Road to Red Devils. Thank you for coming into the chat. It is much appreciated. Anyone who is watching at the moment, please go like and subscribe to the channel. And as well, this month is going to be an awareness on breast cancer. And I am raising money for breast cancer awareness for the charity Breast Cancer Now. The link is in the description. So we're going to narrow our top 5 now from the 10 we did have. I'll go to you first, Talk. Who is going to be your 5?
Okay, so because obviously we can't go too long on this because otherwise it would just go on and on and on. So we've got to make it. We've got to be brief about this. So I've made mine. Fergie, Stein, Hogan, Paisley, and Matt Busby.
Ooh.
Oh.
This is gonna be good. This is good. This is good, man. Oh, what's up, Static?
Hey, yep. Hey there to you as well, Static. I hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in.
I mean, the thing is when we get down to the 5, and then when we get to the 3, that's when it's going to start to become like,
Yeah.
I'm already thinking, oh my God, who do I take out?
Ladies first.
Actually, if it's ladies first, we'll let you go first.
Last time I checked. I'm still the thing is though, I'm still deciding on my top 5. I've only got 3. Because my top 5 actually bringing it down has been very fun.
Okay, I'll go for my top 5 then. It's gonna be Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Matt Busby, Paisley, and Clough.
Interesting.
I'm gonna write that so I remember.
Make sure you don't forget.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now I really need to figure out. Okay. I'll write mine down as well. I may as well because obviously this will be for next week's show, so I may as well have my top 5 ready.
Let's have it.
Similar to you guys. Similar to you guys. So obviously the 2 United GOATs, Sir Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson. Arrigo Sacchi is in my top 5. Mourinho and okay, so this is when it gets really hard. Yeah, so Sir Matt, Sir Alex, Jose, Sacchi. Fuck Paisley, Shankly.
Ooh.
Interesting.
What he achieved, massive respect for what Bob Paisley did in terms of he took Liverpool on, but Liverpool were on the brink of disaster when Shankly took over, and he literally re-established them as a top side. So that's why he gets in for me ahead of the likes of Jock Stein and Bob Paisley.
And I think Romano is very happy with you at the moment. We've got Road to Red Devils, Matt Busby and Fergie, icons of Man United, and that is completely correct there.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we will do?
Can't believe I left Cruyff out, man. Can't believe I left Cruyff out, but I had to.
It's hard. I was just thinking for the past 10 minutes, who am I going to take out? Because when I look at it, I think you look at like Pep Guardiola, even though he's getting them built up teams, he's making them into that team where it's going to be the best of the best. just
He's been,
absolutely brilliant.
I wanna
And
say-
Pep Guardiola is the Spanish equivalent of what Bob Paisley was to Liverpool. He took on from previous establishments and he ran with it. We forgot another great manager I mentioned the other day, Jupp.
There's one thing for me that I'm looking at is because obviously I've left Shankly out, and obviously he did, what he did was amazing, but it's always harder when the expectation has already been raised and is set. You are going into a job where this is like now for Ole. It's the expectation is set, that does not move. When you are the one who is setting the expectation, you're the one who puts the bar in place. So it's as far as you go as individual, how far you succeed. That's where the bar stops. So Shankly, he set the bar. He put the bar there. But then to go in to have the, minerals, shall we say, to go on and take that mantle on and then actually surpass it is reason why I've got Paisley in my over Bill Shankly. Just like again, because I
think that's very fair.
To it's like it's like in any competition where somebody goes first. If somebody goes first and does really well, you're then like, oh crap, shit, I've got to now. I know what I've got to do now to beat that, and that's not always an easy thing to deal with mentally.
It's like if you're an up and coming boxer, and then you get to meet your hero in the glance, and then you have that conversation, you talk to him, and then you go, I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to be better than you. So I honestly understand that that mindset in terms of Shankly raising the bar, what he did for Liverpool, and then obviously putting Paisley ahead because of what Paisley did. I completely understand and respect that. I honestly do. I think that's a very, very admirable decision. Box has asked a very fair question. I'm going to put one name.
I was going to bring that up.
I've got one name in mind. It's an interesting one, and I'll get your thoughts on it. Ronald Kuhlman.
Possibly.
He is one of them where he has gone to good clubs, and you do expect that a little bit more from him. I understand he is going through a very hard spell at Barcelona, but you do, even though he is going through that rough time, he still has them good players at Barcelona. He's still got Aguero there. He's still got Piqué there. He's still got De Jong there as well. He's still got quite a few good players at Barcelona as to what he could easily get in that top three and get into at least the knockout stages of the Champions League if he works at it very well. So for me, he is a very good choice to have.
For me, there was one for me that as soon as I say his name, especially us, we're going to say, oh shit, yeah. Not a lot of people wouldn't even know that Bobby Charlton went into management.
He did, that's correct.
And when you think about what he did as a player, you would think that he would have gone on to do great things, but he didn't. He went and tried his hand at Preston North End, and it didn't quite work out for him. And I can't remember quite correctly, but was it him and Paddy Crerand, I think?
Yeah, player manager and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't necessarily mean, just because we've heard this so many times, that you're a great player doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great manager. And managing it's nothing at all like playing football. You don't even have to have played football. If you understand what it takes to get inside individuals' minds and see how they tick and know what it is, how you get them to do what you want them to do and to be happy doing it, that's the real ingredient of being a great manager. And there was nobody better than, well, I'm not going to say who, but anyway, because I'll just start giving hands away. I'm not going to show you my cards just yet. So look, this is but this is the interesting part. Now, this has been the easy bit, really, is you say your top 10 and we're like, blah, 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 yeah. Now we've cut them down to 5. So it's going to be the next stream where we cut this 5 to 3. We're going to have to lose 2, where it's going to be.
And I'm breaking it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm now thinking, crap, how am I going to do this? Because
I'm already thinking it already.
To make this fair, it's like I said, I'm going to put it in like every context I can into into the equation of how I'm coming to that decision.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I say, it's got to be done like that. It's not necessarily about what you've won. It's more like Reece has already. It's about how you won it. It's about the conditions around at the time you were doing it, the social conditions, the expectations set. You've heard their personal life and all the kind of blah blah blah, but the sacrifices were made and everything else. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But I'm looking forward to it, I must say. So make sure you put your list of top 5 safe. I don't want you to forget it.
It's always in my book. I keep everything
cool.
there safe of what I do need. So, yeah, talking about the next stream, we will be doing it again on next Wednesday. It will be at 8:30 again. So it'll be like, just give you a little bit of that suspense for everyone who's in the comments thinking who's going to be going into the top 3. So let's wait and see. And I will be definitely putting my thinking hat on, thinking, oh, who should I be doing? And I bet you both will be thinking the same.
Well, I've got a pretty good idea right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, I do.
I've got to try and kind of be fair about making the cut because, like I said, of the reasons I've just outlined. So it's going to be, I'm going to have to do a little bit of reading, a little bit of researching, and just kind of playing that up against what I know already about how difficult things can be. It's like I don't know. There's so many things to consider.
I've literally just put down how I'm going to measure, and I've got 7 categories for how I'm going to measure my top 3 into the top 5. And the obvious, so my 7 categories, just going down the list, there's no particular order. It's just what I've written down. I've got trophies, adaptation, style, building of clubs, history in the game. In terms of like when you hear their name, what do you think of straight away? Longevity, how long they've lasted in it, like that's another thing for me. And the final one is impact on the game as a whole.
Yeah, see, this is it. These are all the things. This is what I'll be looking at exactly like that. Yeah. So you take all these individual caveats and you add them up, and it's, I suppose, which one weighs the most. Because there's going to be some that outweigh others, which is, and again, like I say, other people may not come to the same conclusions as us, but this is what makes this fun. This is just our opinion. It would be interesting to see when we do actually come down to that 3 and we give our 3. We remind people of what the 10 was and ask, I don't know, a few people out of the comments. You put your top 3 out of those top 10 that we've said. Who would you put in your 3 and see if they're the same as ours? Because probably they won't be. If Sean Dyche has been mentioned and Sam Allardyce, and I don't think.
And Steve Bruce.
Oh my days. But listen. You slate them and all the rest of it, but they've still got something about them in order to, even when you come down to the basics of the game, which is organising a team, and then defending for your life, and then breaking and going to score a goal. That's the basics of the game. That's it. It's barest of bones. This is where Jimmy Hogan comes into play when I'm going to be talking about him. So tune in next time to get a load of that.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, do you want to shout out your top 5 again? I'll start with you, Talk. Let's shout out your top 5 again.
So it's Sam Allardyce. No, I'm only joking. No, it's Fergie. So Sir Alex Ferguson, Jock Stein, however you want to say it. I don't want to get it wrong, but Jimmy Hogan, Bob Paisley, and Sir Matt Busby.
And Reece, what's your top 5?
My top 5 is Sir Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Arrigo Sacchi, Bill Shankly, sadly not Jock Stein.
And my top 5 is Brian Clough, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Sir Matt Busby, and Bob Paisley. So we'll be back again Wednesday, 8:30. We'll narrow from our top 5 to our top 3. So that is going to be very, very interesting. So we'll shout out everybody's socials as well. Where can we find you, Reece?
You can find me on Twitter below at Devils Rising, which is also on YouTube as well, and you can find me on Twitch at Reece_Lightning 1987, and basically wherever Devils Rising goes, my face follows.
Talk, where can we find you?
Yeah, same place always. Twitter at Talk MU, on the Man United agenda, on your channel, Devils United. Where else? Football United TV. All over the place. It's a bit of a slag, really, but never mind.
I've literally rewrote my top 10 as well. That's just how serious I was. I rewrote my top 10.
Oh, you can't change it now, though.
No, I've not changed it. That's like the top 10 I did at the very beginning. I've just wrote out, and I've got the top 3 bracket in the right in the middle. Right in the middle, top 3, top 10 is sitting right there like a wee jakey bastard.
To anyone who does want to go and subscribe to Man United Agenda, I have put them now as my featured channel, so you can just have a look on my channel and you'll be able to see the Man United Agenda on there.
Yeah.
So go and give them a subscribe if you want to watch Talk and his watch-alongs, which me and Reece have both featured on.
Yeah.
It is class, and you can see me on there Monday 7 o'clock to give player ratings. You can find me here again. It will be on Saturday. I'm doing a stream for my first watch along, and that will be for Man United women versus Man City women, for the Derby Day game.
Watch.
So, I thought you might. That will be on at 1:15. So for anyone who is free, go and give us a watch as well. That'd be absolutely great.
I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention as well. Last minute to the London fans in the chat. As you guys, some you know, I'm a host on the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast on YouTube. We are doing a debate. I host the London Lowdown show. I'm also going to be hosting our academy show going forward. It's for all Man United, but the London Lowdown is purely for all London clubs. And we are doing a debate this week, and I'm going to be sitting there right in the middle with a bag of popcorn, because I've got an Arsenal fan versus a Chelsea fan. Who is the biggest club in London? And I am. They don't count. To be fair, if you actually think about it, it is only between 2 clubs in London. With all due respect, it's only going to be Chelsea and Arsenal, unless Man United turn up in London. Then they're the biggest club automatically.
Of course.
But yeah, I will be hosting that. It should be tomorrow. There will be a tweet out for the start of the stream. It is who is the biggest club in London, and honest to God, I'm going to be sitting there laughing my ass off watching a Chelsea fan go up against an Arsenal fan defining who's bigger. I already know the answer, but stay tuned.
Yeah, so everyone go and give Reece a watch on the Weekly Armchair as well. Everyone go like, subscribe and share this stream. Thank you for the great panel I've got today, and thank you who's been on the live chat and give us a watch. This channel, as I've mentioned before, this is a breast cancer awareness month, so I am doing my channel to raise money for breast cancer now. Anyone who does want to donate, the link is in the bio. Anything will be absolutely great. So far, I have raised £30, what I did check this morning. So I am honestly, thank you so much for who has donated so far. It honestly means so much. And if I do hit that £500 target, I will be giving away a free football top of your choice. And as well, I'll be doing a 5-mile walk from my house to Old Trafford. So that will, and I'll be doing that live as well on my channel. So you'll be able to see me, have a little bit of a chin wag with me on the comments. You can do whatever you want. You can see me knackered out, walking past Etihad with my Man United top. So yeah, that'll be pretty fun, won't it?
I hope that walk includes a little detour to the local kebab shop. That would be marvellous.
I will walk into every single kebab shop just for you, Talk, and I'll walk into Adstop and Mr. Kipling's.
Oh, well, that's it.
Not this crap.
Oh, mate. Mr. Kipling, don't diss Kipling, Reece, please. Do not. Right, I'm telling you, I'll be sending out the heavies, mate, if you diss Mr. Kipling live on stream.
I'd rather have Mrs. Kipling.
What? Mitties? Did you say Mitties? What did you say?
Mrs.
Oh. No, he wasn't married. He wasn't married, mate. You've got no chance.
That's a shame, but like I said, it's always a belter.
It's a belter.
For anyone who has missed it, my breast cancer awareness stream, it was on last week. So if you have missed it, you can get to see that. You get to see the signs, the symptoms of breast cancer, and a little bit more further information on that also. To finish off the show, Fabrizio has said extremely good cake. So I'm sure Talk will be very happy with that comment.
Fabrizio, due gratta vinci, per favore. Bit of Italian there. Yeah.
No comment.
I will see you all on Saturday for the watch along for the Man United women versus Man City women at 1:15. But until then, I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Ka-chow.